Do you want any more snow, Sora? I still have plenty.
Nope.
Nope, you're good?
All yours.
Dang it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Camel,
Good evening.
Adam,
Hello.
JenTMaxi,
Hello.
SoraLuna,
Hello.
and as it is once again a Friday, of course, I'm the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. How are all of you doing tonight?
Woo!
Good.
Is that okay, I was about to ask, is that a good woo? Is that a bad woo? What sort
No,
of
no,
woo are we
no.
talking?
I think Bender died a long time ago, and that was just wind from his fat flowing out. Woo!
That was going to be my next question. Was it a corpse just got pushed?
I thought Sora was doing her Ric Flair impersonation. Had to give us 2 stomps and a clap, you know.
Well, it's like, if I explain this one to Sora, I'm gonna have to be like, sorry, Sora, I'm a feisty Canadian at the moment, but I argued with a hard lefty about how the conservatives aren't anti-LGBT just because we simply don't like men in dresses going into the bathroom with A, women, or B, children, period.
Mm-hmm.
Just children, period. Most adults might be able to handle some of that, depending on the scenario, but definitely no for children. And apparently that means I'm brainwashed and I'm a hard lefty. So I asked him how he felt about eating turtle butter. And I stand by that.
See, I've had the same view when it comes to this shit ever since it first started coming up. And it is, if I can tell that the person is putting in fucking effort, I'm perfectly fine with it. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't worry me if someone that it's clear that they are putting in all the effort that they can to look like X or look like Y. And that, to me, signals good faith. They're trying to be that. Or if I can't even tell that they aren't, it doesn't bother me what fucking bathroom they go into. It's the people that are putting in absolutely no effort that I'm going, yeah, I don't trust you.
I used to agree with that one, Sanguine, but now I actually look a lot closer because even some of the ones who look like they're passing still use the crazy talk. So I actually wait for both. Like I will give you a little bit of credit for passing because to me that signals that you might actually be the person that you claim to be. Because I think a lot of people are trenders. I think a lot of people make shit up for the attention.
Yep.
And they're willing to go through anything to get that attention. I didn't know attention was so attractive that you'd cut off your body parts for it, but apparently it is.
Have you never heard of Munchausen syndrome?
I have now. I didn't know it would go that far. I thought it was, but apparently it does. But
and the really worrying thing, Munchausen syndrome is bad enough. The one that really worries me is by proxy.
Yes, that one actually scares the shit out of me because both genders have it. Both genders have it.
Yep, and does everyone know what Munchausen's and Munchausen's by proxy is? Just before I go on.
I've heard it.
I mean, yeah, I know of Munchausen's by proxy.
Yeah, that one. I'm assuming that's what, instead of being put on your child, it's something you believe.
So, Munchausen's is from the story, and the story that became a movie, The Adventures of
Baron von
Munchausen.
Munchausen. Yeah.
Which is an amazing movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys haven't seen it, it's fucking fantastic. It is mental as hell, which is the point of the story. You're being told this story from the perspective of Baron von Munchausen, who is either the greatest hero that this city has ever known and will ever know, or he's telling all these fantastical stories in order to get attention. Munchausen's is when you want attention so much that you will make yourself sick
Yeah.
to get attention.
Yeah.
Munchausen's by proxy is you love attention so much, you will make someone close to you sick to get attention.
That makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like that. What was that? That chick that just got out of prison for killing her mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gypsy Rose.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, it happens often with elderly family members that are in the person's care, or
Children.
with spouses, or with children. Those are the three main groups that are targeted. And in order, it's most often children, elderly, then spouse.
I
It's
wouldn't-
something that guys can get, but it's far more common in women than men.
I also wouldn't be so hyped up about it if and I'm grateful that Sora that you avoid this shit more than you do, as much as you do, because like when you peep into anything related to our politics, there's always some old dude preying on children. It drives me nuts every time I see it. I'm just like, why haven't we picked up our pitchforks to go burn the towns down? Because that's just, it goes against my nature. Maybe it's the female in me screaming, because men don't like pedos either, you know. Prisoners don't like pedos, so like the fact that we have them, I think they're all over the place in our parliament, Sora, and it's not a good way to look at our parliament, but they endorse it. At least
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
Sorry.
feels
Well, I
like
mean-
they do.
because we have it out here in the
Mhm.
States as well, so it's not, you know.
It's not just here. Like that
Yeah.
that's what makes it easier to confirm this shit, because you see it here, you see it in the UK. You
Yeah.
probably don't hear about it from Australia, because Australia is more
No,
quiet, surprisingly. But
I've heard some things from Australia, but the thing is, you asked, you know, why hasn't an uproar been brought up? I think it's because there's many. It's like a star fort, right? There's many points that you have to be able to attack to get into, but they're so well defended by it, you know.
it's insane. Like I get what you're saying, but it's just it's such a mountain.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the joke has to be made, and it was right there. The reason why you don't hear much about it from Australia is they're better on keeping things on the down low.
No.
They kind of are, though. I actually worry about them, because like what they're doing up here, Sora, like, you know, with our news, nobody trusts our news. Like, where do you really go to get like some kind of valid news, so that, you know, at least your local stuff is usually okay, because it directs you on what's kind of important to your area. But nobody trusts our news, you know. So if I get news from, like, the last time I got really mad at our news, it was when Australia had that earthquake. And the only reason we knew about it was because we had people that we knew from Australia, like Terry and Pete, when he used to visit us.
Mhm.
Visit us again, Pete. I miss you. But all the same, like, I wouldn't have known that they'd had a tremor. Thankfully, it didn't hurt anybody, but that stuff's kind of important, you know?
Yeah. I mean, even with the earthquake in New York or New Jersey today, you know, I was hearing from people that are like, you know, it doesn't usually happen out here, so fuck all we know what to do, you know.
Yeah, it's only like the second or third time that it's happened in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was living on the eastern seaboard during the last major earthquake that it had, which was in the early 2010s. Got hit by a decent-sized earthquake. I want to say it wasn't ridiculous. It wasn't like north of 5. I want to say it was a 4 point something.
Mm-hmm.
Which, West Coast, that's nothing.
Mhm.
East Coast, that's a what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that scaring people.
Because earthquakes just don't happen on the East Coast.
Yeah, I can imagine all your animals freaking out too. It's always weird when a natural disaster goes off because the birds and everything are like, what the fuck? By the way, Sora, I don't know if it might actually reach your neck of the woods, but we will be able to see the solar eclipse from Calgary, so I suspect you probably will too. Yay, solar eclipse!
If we can, it'll be the worst kind of weather that day, so nothing would be properly observable.
Well, at least you don't have to worry about going blind. I was told by everyone.
I wouldn't have been staring it into the eclipse should we have gotten one, which we did, 2018, I think, was an eclipse we had here. I mean, I wasn't here for it. I was in a different country, but it was here. And the people I know who saw it did not go blind, so.
Yeah, I didn't know how far in advance you had to order the special glasses for it. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it takes some time for those to get out.
Do they let you keep them, though? Because if you can keep them, then just keep them.
Why wouldn't you be able to keep them? Are you not purchasing them?
Depends
I would think
if
so.
you're doing a rental service or if you're doing a payment. If you're doing a rental, then it's a rental. If you're paying for them, then yeah, they're yours. Just now you have to remember the next time that it happens. Where the fuck did I put my solar eclipse glasses?
Hopefully you didn't sell them to somebody else, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. If you've bought a pair of those, just keep them.
Yeah, and you should get them signed.
Yeah. It's an heirloom now.
Signed by the sun. I'm just curious what the fuck you're getting it signed by.
On one of the earpieces, you could have present from the father, and then on the other side to the son.
That just sounds like you're getting a priest to sign it, and that's not always the best idea.
There's a comet that's supposed to be following it as well.
Okay.
The Devil's Comet.
Well, if I get lucky enough, I don't know if my weather's going to be any better than Sora's, but I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed anyway.
Are you in the path?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, my brother got a post for it, so I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I can't look at it either because I don't have the fancy glasses, but I was sitting here like a nerd thinking about making one of those.
Is there a way to take pictures?
I thought about that, but I don't think my phone could handle it. I don't think it has the.
Well, you can put white paper on the ground and take a photo of the shadow.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You can get a box and you can do a simple projector.
You put white cloth on the ground. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. You want to talk about the slight weird bullshit. You guys know how to make a simple projector, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can make a simple projector and you can view it through the simple projector.
That means it's got to be not cloudy, right?
There's some criteria for it, but the basic idea is you get a box, you cut a pinhole in one side of the box, then you have a white piece of paper on the other end of the box. You have the box big enough that you can have the pinhole go over your head towards the paper, and you're able to get an image based on what can be seen out of the pinhole.
Well, isn't that what the glasses are anyways? It's just like a little pinhole?
Yeah. The glasses functionally do the same thing, only they are far more convenient, less bulky, and they allow you to view it more directly. But the eclipse projector thing that you can do, that there's an old episode of Beakman's World. Do you guys know Beakman's World by any chance?
I've heard the name, but I never watched it.
So, Beakman's World was a contemporary of Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Ah, that's why. Okay.
And, well, Bill Nye the Science Guy had a much higher budget. Beakman's World was made to be more approachable than even Bill Nye the Science Guy was. So it was a lot more, here's shit that you can actually do at your house, rather than just these big ideas being explained to you. It's, here's how you can actually model the things that these big ideas are about.
Mm.
And it had a very weird cast because it was, I want to say made in Canada. Let me quickly double check that.
Sorry.
It was either made in like the UP or Canada. But it had...
Did it come out after Bill Nye?
It started in 92, and it was American, it looks like. Let me quickly double check. Beekman's World. Where was it filmed? Oh, it was in America. Though, okay, no, that is the American CBS, not the Canadian one. So, it was a strange show. The main character was Beekman, this very strange scientist, wearing green lab coat, crazy hair. Here, let me just pull up an image so I can show you guys what Beekman's World characters look like. Here's the 3 main Beekman's World characters, and let me pop that open in another tab so I can just show the picture. And then share this screen to your guys' confusion. So that's Beekman's World's cast. Beekman is the guy in the neon green lab coat in the center.
Okay.
The girl is stereotypical 90s, late 80s, early 90s adult acting like a teenager from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm, I remember this. Yeah, I remember this.
And then Rizzo the Rat, who is self-explanatory, I think. Everyone understands who Rizzo the Rat is, right? I don't need to go into any detail or explain why he's there. It's clear why he's there.
I swear I've seen...
Is he dating the teenager?
Thankfully, no.
It's too bad.
They didn't go the full Australian TV aggro route.
Sora, this
Yeah.
this was I'm assuming a children's TV show to teach
I don't
about,
know. It looks like it's a scene
science
from
and
a
stuff.
not very children show.
Well,
So
Okay, maybe there was a slight implication, assumingly. But this is still like
I don't want to
Registered
break
92.
anybody's heart, but the guy dressed up like a rat had child SA allegation.
Get out of here.
of
See,
course
there
he
you go.
did. Of course he did.
Did he actually?
Yeah. I don't know if they were true or not because that was a long ass time ago, and like a lot of things in Hollywood, they never follow up with anything. But he got
Yeah.
Dan Schneider.
I now have to look.
See, so I mean,
HL
like I said,
says the rat's name is Lester. So is it Lester?
Lester.
Oh, it was Lester.
Lester
Right,
within
Lester the
Lester.
Rat.
It might have been
Who's the
drugs
molester?
too. Like I just remember this was around the this wasn't at the same time as what's his face he just died too. I feel bad.
Well, not if he was a
Can't
diddler.
remember his name. He was the guy with the couch and
I'm just pulling it up because apparently it's Paul Zaloom
yeah.
was the actor's name. And I'm trying to see if there's anything because I had never heard any accusations about.
The essay. I don't know if it was essay or drugs. I just know that like at the time a lot of the kids show hosts got canceled and some of them had valid reasons like aged out or went bald, that kind of stuff, like the Blues Clues guy. And some people were like they had cocaine.
Oh,
Toronto's well known for some of our child actors or child presenters having cocaine.
his drama wasn't about anything like that. His drama was he was extraordinarily gay.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
I wasn't sure of what the thing was. I just knew there was something that they dinged him for.
Like massively flamboyantly gay.
All right. Well,
Would his outfit count as a furry outfit?
nowadays, yes, he probably does it too.
I mean,
People
no,
will
not
say that it
not
counts
about
as
the
a
gay
furry
thing. But
thing. It wouldn't be a furry.
I
It
was gonna
wouldn't be a
say,
fursuit. It wouldn't even be a partial.
because don't they need that big mask or the helmet mask thing?
Not anymore. No.
Oh,
No. The guys who do the weird dog kink shit technically count as furries now.
That's
I mean, you can
because
see the string on his nose.
the
you can
thing
see it.
is that they're now been accepted into the furry community because the furry community has completely forgotten what the fuck its community was.
I know.
Well, I mean, they're furries.
And well, the thing was they were trying to be furries early on were pretty much shunned everywhere. So when their community started growing, they didn't want to end up shunning other people. So they just kept on accepting everyone that went, yeah, I'm a furry. So a guy shows up dressed as Cinderella every year to Anthrocon, and yeah, we'll say that he's a furry, even though he has absolutely no interest in anthropomorphic animals. He just likes dressing as Cinderella. But sure, he's a furry. And the moment that happened, it became, okay, so furry doesn't mean anything then. If you're saying that that's a furry, that
Well, and
furry
I,
doesn't mean anything.
I didn't mean to
It's funny.
laugh at what you had said earlier. It's just when you said that, it just immediately sparked a little tale of, and then here comes Lester. He was ostracized and had to go down to the sewers and hang out with this weirdo scientist and his goofy Brooklyn lady who, even though she's 35, she still thinks she's 12 or some shit. So Lester,
Due to
this is
a
why
traumatic
he's
brain
supposed to wear
injury,
his. Huh?
Due to a traumatic brain injury, she lost all her memory before the age of 13, or after the age of 13. So she believes she's only 13 years old.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is the start of a really dystopian, post-apocalyptic children's show.
This
I
was in
would
the
watch-
90s too, Sora. I'm just saying that I remember.
Yeah,
from
so
the
tank
90s.
girl era.
Yeah.
Can any of you deny that if there was a show about a mad scientist, a rat, and a woman who had had anterograde amnesia in a sewer during a post-apocalypse where the scientist has gone crazy, he's just trying to explain scientific concepts to these two people now? The rat was an experiment at some point, so now he's anthropomorphized.
Mm-hmm.
And then this poor woman that thinks that she's still 13. Are you telling me that you wouldn't watch that post-apocalyptic show? I would watch the ever-living fuck out of that show.
No,
It was
we never
funny.
said that.
It
Said
was
anything
actually
about
it was actually funny. Like, as much as I say things
Oh,
about
yeah.
the rat, I just didn't know what his thing was. Like, there was a lot of the child actor scenes, not child actors, but actors for child shows. There was a lot of them that got canceled all at once, and like some of them had SA, some of them had cocaine. I didn't know about the gay thing. That actually makes me feel bad for him because I wouldn't have given a shit.
Yeah, apparently he was just flamboyantly gay.
In
I
the
just-
wrong era.
I'm just saying I didn't have a high opinion of Toronto when I was a kid because they had a lot of shit happening with their child presenters, and I was like, what's wrong with Toronto?
It's like I mentioned when you asked if there was a fling between the two. And I mentioned, oh yeah, I don't think that there's any aggro-like allegations because aggro was a child show in Australia, if I remember correctly. Where, yeah, apparently Wall, the puppeteer, put his hand up the puppet. He had free time with his other hand.
Oh jeez.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And the female star.
Yeah. I'm just saying not every show had good people working on it. But I don't want to ruin any more of my childhood, so I stopped looking into that to a certain degree.
Yeah, for this one, it was just he was flamboyantly gay.
But to be fair, though, I've seen some of the shit that Europeans presented to their kids, and I was like, you guys just like to give your kids nightmares on.
Oh, do you know Mr. Nosy Bonk?
I think I do.
Mr. Nosy Bonk is my favorite nightmare fuel.
Like, yeah, they have
That
so
sounds
many.
like something you've shared before, and
Oh,
we
yeah,
all
it
tried
is.
to collectively bleach out of our minds.
And I will keep on reminding you every time that you think that you've forgotten Mr. Nosy Bonk. I will remind you.
Oh no. I think it's earmuff time.
No, I'm not going to play any audio. I'm just going to pull up a terribly pixelated picture and display it because Mr. Nosy Bonk was not in proper resolution.
Oh yeah, yep. That's the
That
crap.
is
Mr.
nightmare
Nosy
fuel.
Bonk.
Yep.
That's a
Jesus.
child show character.
We had that though, like some of our clay putty cartoon clips that they would make, and I was like, whoever's designing this is psychotic.
Well, it's also like the adventures of Mark Twain claymation. Do you guys know that one?
I think I
No.
do too. I just don't know if it's one of those childhood things that I kind of repress because the putty
Oh, it
people-
is. It absolutely is. But let me pull it up so that I can remind you of your repressed
Oh, you totally
memories.
repressed this, but you know,
You know,
time to
Hey,
remember.
at least I'm in my 40s this time. You know, when you're like 8 or 9, a lot of that shit shouldn't be presented to you anyway. But you know, when you're in your 40s, you can handle most of it. You're still like, yeah, these parents were psychotic.
So the best part of the adventures of Mark Twain was the mysterious stranger. Anyone happen to remember what the story of the mysterious stranger was?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up first how he shows up at the start of this. And then I'm also going to pull up a picture of what he looks like towards the middle. And then towards the very end of this. Because there are very different appearances of the mysterious stranger. And each one has a very important part to play.
Oh boy.
Because the mysterious stranger is a Mark Twain story about someone observing a small race of people. Where's the last one that I want to do? I'll just go with these two. I can't find the other one that I was looking for. I'll explain the other one when it gets to that part.
Okay.
So, it is a man who is almost formless, described as having a mask as a face. This was the claymation presentation of the man.
Yep. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And this
Right.
castle is part of the land of the little people that he's watching over. So it starts off, the little people are being helped here and there. And they start building up, they start expanding, they start improving, and everything becomes nicer as the story goes on. And then there's a change in the mysterious stranger. Let me pull up the next image. Because the mysterious stranger is not a benevolent figure.
Oh, I know this image. I've never seen this in real life, but I've seen like I think gifs or something with this.
Yeah. A lot of the 80s is a gift now.
Yep. So the mysterious stranger story is effectively the person that you've been hearing the story from throughout most of the story is Satan.
Nice.
And he's been watching over this strange race of clay people. Anyone happen to remember mythology and how people are often described as having been formed?
Yeah, because of Zeus.
And there's also forming people from clay and dirt and things like that in a bunch of different mythologies.
Yeah, almost like the Bible.
Mm-hmm. So they explain that all the beings were made out of clay, and it's very well done throughout until everything starts to turn and you start going, oh god, what the fuck you aren't, oh shit. As it just becomes more and more clear, it's Satan. Only it never says, this is Satan. It's just everything gets more and more. He's talking about creepy shit. He's talking about corrupting shit. He's, oh, this is fucked. As he starts causing natural disasters, he fucks with one of them until it gets pissed off enough that it starts killing a bunch of the others. And
Nice.
It's gruesome.
it
In all
is.
its putty glory.
Oh, yeah. They do that entire short story in The Adventures of Mark Twain. And it's this strange claymation character. And the way that the mask shifts, and at the very end, as he's getting more and more enraged, the mask is becoming more and more distorted. And then right as the children are about to leave, one half of the mask goes completely blank like it started. And the other half is melting. It's some beautiful nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
Very
the
cool.
stop motion clay people were messed in the head. I think out of all of them, the only one that came out normal was Gromus and Wallet, and even then, I had hesitations with them. I was like, "Are you gonna have an Easter egg that's gonna give me nightmares too?"
Oh, Wallace and Gromit also had some
horrible.
nightmare fuel.
I loved Wallace and Gromit.
But they also had really dark things, which are amazing.
And an evil penguin.
Yeah.
You know, I heard that they're running out of the clay stuff that they used to make like the Wallace and Gromit movies.
Huh.
You can make more clay.
Not this particular kind.
Huh.
I can't remember what
heard
I
that.
one of the residents had like morning news on a couple months ago when I was just cleaning their room, and yeah, I can't remember exactly what kind it is, what the composition of it is that makes it. Well, yeah, they're running out of it.
It kind of makes sense because it's not like it doesn't work like a standard clay. Like, yes, you can bake it, but not really. It tends to crack or flake, or it's kind of meant to be reusable.
But I think they were doing like another Chicken Run movie, and like so they're buying it up for that. But there's no more being produced.
I could see that it would be something that's gone out of fashion, so supply is harder to find. But
yeah, the juice ain't worth the squeeze to be making this stuff.
Yeah, unless you have a demand, and then you can crank it out.
So, according to Vanity Fair article from November, the manufacturers of the clay that was used shuttered. So people panicked and said, and put all this stuff out, saying, "Oh, now they're not going to do anything because, they don't have any stuff." But Aardman, which animation, said that nope, they still have enough stock. They're not ceasing operations for now. So they are okay. It's a plasticina putty.
Okay, so it is effectively what I was saying, that it's
They were
the
liquidated. Yeah.
producer went under, but it isn't anything other than, the people that used to make it don't make it anymore. So now we'll have to find a new source.
I've been saying that for a while.
So they have enough for any current and future productions.
I've been saying that for a while, though. Like, I
And
have
then they
this
have to
feeling.
look.
Sorry, Sora.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, you finish. I keep missing your. There's a little lag today, I think. That's what I'm blaming it on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just finish with the articles that they have. They will work to eventually transition to new stocks, but everything's okay for now. Who knows?
So this is one of those things where, like, I can't prove my theories. I just have them. But on a world basis, I've had this theory that the red tape is affecting like all of the industries. You know, it's not just the craft people, because I think there's holes in Hollywood right now that are really kind of open for people with money to start investing in their own companies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously, like, there's a desperate need for. There are people who are screaming for entertainment right now that they could have if somebody would just invest a little bit. I don't have any money, so I can't do shit other than talk smack. But
it's one of those things that people want amazing stories.
Mhm.
We used to be able to get those from Hollywood and groups like that. But Hollywood has made it fairly clear over the past decade or so, they're much less interested in telling really good stories.
Mhm.
And they're even less interested in telling timeless stories. Which is... Oh, go ahead, Sora. I think I heard you.
No, you
That
finish.
was me.
Yeah, that was me. But you finish.
Oh, sorry.
I can wait. So
There's a demand for these stories. You still get them when it comes to literature. There's still fantastic books being penned by people. Not all books are great. A lot of books are shit. But there's still enough really good stories out there that if you want a really good story, you can find really good stories. When it comes to movies, though, it is much harder. And that's one of the reasons why people are now looking more to other countries when it comes to trying to find really good media. You don't hear as much about the newest American show. You hear more about, did you see that weird show from Korea?
well, it's also that they're not switching up their stories to appease 1 or 2% of the population because fifis might get hurt. Like, I said this more than a few times, that the reason I visit Japanese stories is because they're different from my own. I don't want white people in a Shogun game or a Shogun story.
Mm-hmm.
During the era of Japan, where they were cut off from the rest of the world, there are no white people. There are no brown people, except for the people living
Unless
there.
there's a really damn good reason, like there's a fantastic series of games, the Yakuza series of games. Everyone knows about those, right? Yes? No? Maybe?
So which ones? I'm sorry.
The Yakuza series of games?
Oh, yes. The video games. Yes.
Yep. So they have one of the Yakuza games that they take all of the old character designs that you've grown to love from the Yakuza series, and they go, well, what if we had a story set towards the end of feudal Japan?
Mm-hmm.
So this is after gunpowder has been introduced. So there's been the forcing open of Japanese trade by the White Fleet. This is after a bunch of different events have happened. So there's one character from Yakuza 2 that is this hulking blonde man. And that design makes an appearance in the game, but they explain it. It makes sense why he's making an appearance in the game. It's one thing to have a character that he might not have been there, or something like that happen in a story. Like a good example, no one had a problem with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, when Robin Hood came back with a Saracen. No one complained that, well, that's weird. Why is there more following around Robin Hood? It was just, oh yeah, they explained that in the story. It works. Continue on. You have to explain when you do a deviation from the story. You have to give people something to go with, so it isn't just, hold on a second, why is this Polish town during the 1200s like 6 different races?
That's entirely what I mean. Like, I don't mind if they want to blend in a story where you have openings where a tie-in would make sense. But when you're talking about a Japanese story where we actually don't know the history, we probably don't really know the history. The Japanese are the ones who know that history. So they have to be the ones to tell that history. We can't be putting our version of it on it when they're telling it. If you're talking about like something that works, like, yeah, we had contact. Obviously we did. It absolutely affected Japan. And that's a big moment in Japan. So there's nothing wrong with the story there, but it's like learning about the English history. I do like the English history being about England. You know, I like the Scottish history being about Scotland. I know they beat the shit out of each other. It's phenomenal how much they take the piss out of each other still for it. But it's making a story authentic and then, or claiming that it's authentic and then throwing in shit like that because it's diversity. I'm like, no, you're actually just lying about the story.
So, would you think that would be an example of when somebody says that it's being forced or shoehorned in to a story? Do you think that would be an example of it?
Yeah, 100%. It's almost like a self-insert to me. It almost feels like
Oh,
a
yeah.
self-insert. Somebody is wanting to insert themselves into a story because they want it to be about something that they want to tell. And I'm like, that's not the story, though.
And
You know?
the thing is, again, you can get shit to actually make sense in the story that you're telling. And you can make it work. You just have to work a little bit in order to get it to work. You want to have a black character in your European adventure set during the Middle Ages? Okay, explain how a Moor got there in your story. Have that explanation. Was one of the other people a crusading knight that ended up earning some sort of blood debt between him and this character, and that's why they're here? Was it that there was something that he was sent here for, and that's why he's here? Make a reason why what you're portraying on screen is happening. You can justify a fuck ton just with a bit of effort and a decent story. And people will go, oh, okay, yeah, that's why he's there. You want to have a black legionnaire during the Roman conquest of Europe? Okay, explain how a Africanus legionnaire ended up being sent to the invasion of Britain. You can do that. You can explain how that happens in a story. You can justify how that happens. And people will go, oh, that's kind of cool. And they'll move on. But if you just have one standing there and you never explain why he's there, everyone's going, it was really fucking weird that in, let's say, 300, there was a black man walking around in Britain. Why was there a black man in 300 AD just walking around Britain?
Yeah, no, it's cheap. It's cheap storytelling.
It-
Like you want to tell a story and you can't do a little bit of um research or world building to help your story. You just think that that's enough.
It also assumes a little bit about the intelligence of the audience, and I know that's a little bit broad, but it kind of does. Like, I remember watching a Romeo and Juliet that was set during the current day. It was kind of looking like Los Angeles at the time.
Oh,
I don't
no,
think
you're
it
talking
was
about the one that was New York, and it was 2 different gangs. There
No, she's probably
was...
What?
talking about
No.
Baz Luhrmann.
Well,
Yeah,
not no. Are
No?
you talking about the one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
Baz
Yeah.
that
Luhrmann.
was
Yeah,
Los
it's set in Venice
Angeles.
Beach.
Oh, okay.
And
I know,
yeah,
but
the only
but
thing I would say is weird is, for some reason, well, I guess he's a cousin, so, but I don't know how Claire Danes and John Leguizamo are related, but no, I love that movie though. That was a good
but
movie.
but it
But
made
yeah, there's
sense
also
for
one
the.
where it's New York and it's gangs. And
Is it
that
really?
one works as well. Yeah.
That's
it-
West
but it-
Side Story.
But it
Huh.
just works doing that. Like, I don't have a problem because, like, if you're trying to force it in the past, it's obviously going to be wrong because we already know what happened in the past. And I mean, I'm not going to use Romeo and Juliet as that example because that's still a make believe story. But like, if you're taking something like Anne Boleyn, we know what she looked like. Believe it or not, they did face masks for that girl. She had a wax face done. They know what she
Also,
looked like.
She was described
A wax
in
face
everything.
does not equal skin color, Jen.
She was described in every record as being extremely pale.
That's because they were racist.
You know, but if you want to remake a story in current day, well, already we already know that you're taking a theme from a story, but you've changed it. So you've changed the environment of it. It makes it more believable. I'm actually
Well, they
okay with
had,
that.
Have you guys ever seen? It's one of my favorite movies going up. Romeo Must Die with Jet Li.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was fantastic. That was a lot of fun. And I mean, okay, very, very, very loose interpretation of Romeo and Juliet. But you know, it's still there.
It
has
was.
It's like we all know that The Lion King has essence of Macbeth to it. You can do
Yeah.
that. It is absolutely possible to do a little bit of artistry and change a little bit of it so it makes it realable or more realistic. I am okay with a multicultural story done. It's just how you go about it. Like, how it does cheapen the story if you're just replacing people. I can't see Ariel as being a black mermaid because it is just a doppelganger to me. Like, you were lazy, you couldn't do any research on an actual black mermaid, and I learned that there is an actual black mermaid.
Oh,
Sora.
that was a
If you
fuck ton.
you know, and I'm like, I would have liked to have heard that story. I actually would have. That would have been cool as shit. Because just like I'm as interested in the Korean stories as Sanguine was saying, I actually wouldn't mind hearing that story because it sounds creepy as shit. I love that. You know, mermaids should actually be eating people.
Well, I mean, and that's kind of the problem. Is, well, I guess the problem for them is that we're actually seeing it. I think it was brought up in the Disney executive board meeting, whatever they were doing.
Yeah,
They were
they
like,
lost.
do we really need this shit? You know, because some people are some of the stockholders are seeing that they're losing money out of this, and it's not worth it. But I mean, that's the point. You know, they can't do anything on their own, so they just rework some other shit and hope it flies. But
And the thing is that there's so many amazing stories from all over the world. If Disney returned to, we're going to tell fairy tales,
Mhm.
and we're just going to give them a bit of a happier ending and modernize them a little bit, that would do amazingly. A simple story
Yeah.
like a fairy tale told well, fantastic. The people that wanted to do a story about a black queen in the ancient world, why the fuck did they decide Cleopatra? The one that we know so much about that it's clear that's bullshit. And also, people know so much about her because she's extremely well known, taught about constantly. Go for one who's fascinating, but not many people know as much about.
Well-
And don't go for a Egyptian queen. How many of you guys, other than Adam, know about the Nubians?
Yeah, I do. I've heard about it.
What do you mean, other than Adam?
Because you and I have talked about ancient history, and
The
you and
Nubians,
I have
yes.
talked about
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Nubian longbowmen,
Yeah.
which were they were, you know how well known the English and Welsh longbowmen are
Yeah.
throughout the Middle Ages? They were that for the ancient world.
You know, what's funny is when you were talking about Black Legionnaires,
Yep.
my thought was, you know what? You could write a story about uh, uh, a group of Nubian uh, auxiliary that
Mm-hmm.
um, that worked or that were under a general and they were going on a tour, and you could write a whole story on that. And there
Mm-hmm.
you go. You have a black cast of Roman horsemen, and they'd actually be it might not be tethered towards an actual realistic historical figure.
Yeah, there might not have ever been a company of Nubian auxiliary in this location, but it's something that you're able to go along with the story and go, okay, yeah, I can see
Yeah.
where you're going with this. Let's see how it plays out.
And like HBO's Rome, like those characters, I mean, they were mentioned. I think they said it was like they were mentioned a few, like once or twice in some writings, but the whole story with them, it was just cast around this time, and they played around with what was going on. So
Mhm.
I mean, again, you can do it. You just got to work at it. But
Mhm.
again, we've seen these people aren't capable of that.
Well, I
They don't
actually
want to work. Yeah.
I also think it's because yet again, Hollywood is lazy, and like the director of Cleopatra, I don't think she knew about as much about Cleopatra as she claims. Like maybe the joke of her grandmother telling her not to believe what they tell her in school. I actually believe that's what she did, because if you're gonna pick that queen, yes, she was very famous, but they seem to have this hype of pumping up black women in the first place. That seems to be their narrative. Cleopatra failed. She was famous, yes, but she still failed. Like, as far as her country was concerned, they still had to pay out to Rome.
And also, again, it's extremely well documented
Like,
who Cleopatra was, what she would have looked like. She would have been a mix of Macedonian and Egyptian. Heavy on Macedonian.
the Greek are going to argue with you on that one, because they claim that she was Greek.
She was the descendant of one of Alexander the Great's generals, Ptolemy.
Mhm.
Alexander the Great was Macedonian.
I don't know. I just know the Greek are like,
So
no.
you have this extremely well documented lineage.
Mhm.
Again, though, there was a Nubian queen who successfully, throughout her entire life, fought against the Roman Empire.
Yeah, they were scared of her, actually.
And the nation didn't fall under her reign. It wasn't conquered under her reign. She was ridiculous. She was actually the style of badass that they wanted to portray Cleopatra as, when Cleopatra wasn't. Cleopatra was extremely charming. Oh, go ahead.
Do you think that is it just because this historical figure is just not as well known as Cleopatra?
Mhm.
That is why they're not bringing her story to light, or do you think it's some weird psyop thing where they're going to take any important historical figure that may have non-black roots and change it, race swap them on purpose?
I think it's
a bit of
both.
both.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Like, I don't think they know anything about the leaders they're chasing after. I think they chase after them, and then people who are historians and dorks like call them out for it because they're like, "You don't know what you're talking about."
Well, can I add to the psyop part?
Mm.
Yep.
um, I think it's also they want to keep you in the mindset right, want to keep you in the mindset of Cleopatra and the whole like this is the timeline of history.
Mhm.
Yeah, those things happen, but this is the main timeline that you should be focused on. So
I
that's why Cleopatra is a lot easier to be like, okay, how are we going to introduce? That's why what was the that one recent movie that came out about the African queen
mhm.
Oh,
and then
Yeah.
it
Oh, the
exploded
warrior
on them.
queen or
yeah.
something.
Yeah. It's like cuz holy shit, once people found out who they were talking about, they're like, "Oh, yo, yo, yo." But if it was a good, yeah, they could do something again, but they just it
Yeah, but like
this is
then
it's a
they
layup for
bring
a
this
lot of people.
character and they completely rewrite the historical
It, it, it,
background.
Mhm.
it's also pettiness from. Sorry, Sora. I don't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
no,
I
I
just,
was finished.
I think it's also pettiness from people who want to point fingers at white people to call them racist when I think it's really them, because they always seem to pick out white leaders. I've never seen them try to go after an Asian leader. You know,
Oh, they have. Have you not heard about the Shogun controversy?
is that what they want a black female leader?
So there's a production known as
Oh shit.
Shogun
Really? A black
that
female
is
shogun?
being done, and there's a bunch of black activists that are pissed off that there aren't any black samurai.
Yeah, because there aren't. I mean, you can have them now if you want. Like, go
Oh,
for it.
we'll
But
fucking go to Japan and then do that. Oh, beautiful.
And they're all citing the same thing, which is Tariq Nasheed, I shit you not, in his In Living Color series, which you guys all familiar with Tariq Nasheed and his In Living Color?
You mean Hidden Colors?
Hidden Color, sorry. Yeah,
In Living
Hidden
Color was
series.
Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, dude, in living color.
I have a plan,
Hidden Color
Sanguine.
series.
I have a plan. I'm gonna dare them to take on some of the Chinese empresses and just see how they go with that. See how long that
Because-
lasts.
I know Camel knows, I know Adam knows. Sora and Jen.
I
did
know
you
of
both-
him, but I don't know his whatever show that is.
Hidden Color series.
I
That's
don't
where
know this
everyone of note throughout history was black.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
The samurai, Shakespeare, the whole nine.
It's really depressing. I wouldn't
Everyone.
champion that at all. I actually feel really bad for people in the black community who I agree deserve to have characters, but not like this. You have
thing is-
you have amazing heroes from, and I'm not gonna say Africa because that's a continent, but go look there. There's many countries with many tribes. You have many heroes you could look up to.
Mm-hmm. And in
They-
So
The-
like, okay, I wish I had this book closer. I can't remember the name, but you want say more movies and more fun stuff with actors of color, be it black or whatever. I remember reading many years ago, written by, I think she was British lady. It's a trilogy for kids set in the distant future in Africa, I believe. So the main family character are African, black African, and the hero's a little boy. His parents are scientists. They get kidnapped. He can somehow speak with lions, so he gets a lion companion. It's something they were making this like they were kidnapped because of they were fighting disease, or they were creating this ability to unlock people to be able to speak with the big cats. Or
Mhm.
they're something like this. It's a fantasy set in the future. So it's this kind of reimagined what Africa,
Dark
especially
fantasy.
South Africa, would look like in the future. And of course, this is from it was published sometime in like 2003 to 5 or something. I can't remember. I'll have to find again. But
So I
anyway,
have to ask one question real quick because it always drives me crazy when it comes to Afrofuturism. when
Yeah.
they were talking about Africa in the future. Did they say that Africa's high-tech existence was they would throw spears at each other?
Okay, no, this is not Wakanda Forever.
Okay, making
This
sure,
is
because that's
literally
something that
just
drives me
like
crazy every time.
it's the future, so because it's
Shit.
the future, everybody has the same future technology, you know?
Okay,
And it
so
just
it's
so happens that
actual
this
future,
kid's
not...
parents were, yeah, it's not Afrofuturism as in they are the only futuristic people in the world, and they're
And the
hidden
height of
people. No, this was
technology is
literally
that
like
they can throw
it,
spears.
it's focused uh on the black main character, and I remember loving him as a kid. Like it was just he was so good. You can speak to lions, man. Like everyone wants that, right, as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a good story. For me, that is an excellent book or even idea to create. Make a movie of that. That's fantastic. But you know why
Mm-hmm.
they won't? The writer's white.
Yep.
The reason she wrote this book was because her adopted daughter is black,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and they wrote the book together. So they wrote the book because she wanted to tell some stories, and they created the idea of like what the scientists' parents were doing, and they are double billed. I remember them being both billed as the authors and having both their photos on the book.
Mm-hmm.
But the lady's white.
Yep.
And the left can't admit that they're the racists.
And
Because that's what I think.
if this was the 15 plus years ago and it was made, there wouldn't have been any issue. It would be like, oh, this is a perfectly wholesome children's thing. We can make it. There's stories. It's high stakes. It's not for little kids because it is. There's quite a bit of violence in the book, like kidnapping, the child endangerment, etc.
Lions probably eating people.
I have a feeling. I'm not sure if both parents survive. I can't remember now, but like your typical child adventure, you need to kill off at least one parent, or else it's not a fun book. The British style of writing, and it was fantastic. Like it was such a fun concept. But it wasn't made during that decade, so now I don't think it's going to be made because of who the author is. Not because this is someone who's a J.K. Rowling kind of person, but it wouldn't look right. Why are we choosing a book written by a white person? And
Mm-hmm.
it sucks. It is sad because it's
It's a really well done story that all it cares about is telling a story and telling a story well. And that's what stories should be. The primary reason for a story should be to tell a good story and tell it well. That shouldn't be at all controversial, but for some reason, we've decided that it is now. And also, I'm sick and tired of you can't just have a good character. You can't just have a bad character. If you want to tell a simple story, a just straight good character and a straight bad character, that's fantastic. You can tell a lot of stories that way. No, every character, the good character has to be shown doing more horrendous shit than the bad character. And the bad character has to be shown to be more human than the good character throughout the entire fucking thing, so that you're going, well, are they really the bad guy? Well, yeah, you showed off at the very beginning them murdering thousands of people. I think that they're the bad guy.
okay. I found it. It's literally called Lion Boy.
Nice.
And it's a trilogy. So the book is called Lion Boy. The author is Zizu Corder, but that is an amalgamation of the author and her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think you're on the right mark there, Sanguine. Though I do think it has to do a lot with the current writers. Like I don't see Hollywood stars as being necessarily the most people of people. As much as they can portray people, I don't think that they're the ones portraying the human emotion. That was the writers writing stuff. But if every time they've had a writer's strike, they've gotten rid of more of the decent writers and left in folks who've never had a relationship in their life because they don't know what a friendship is and everything has to lead to fucking, which is what it looks like half the time. No offense, excuse my language. I don't think they know how to write.
And was it last week or the week before when we were talking about how every time that they write a child character, the child character isn't a child character, it's a 40-year-old man in a child's body?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, those are very, very different things, despite what some people want you to believe.
Yeah.
And it comes across as, this isn't right. This is deeply uncomfortable listening to this child speak this way. Please get me out of your story. Rather than, oh, this is a character. And child actors, never great, but child characters have been written well in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been written as children.
Well,
rather than as emotional 40-year-olds.
Well, it's like you don't see like when I think of like friendly movies for kids, you don't see them just focusing as much on the friendship now. Like even with the kids movies, they always have to be leaning towards either a relationship of some kind, whether they want them to be lesbian or not. Like I remember, like, okay, I'm throwing out a kids movie, but like the Sandlot. Mm-hmm. One kid out of the whole story ended up with it being about a relationship. It was a joke about the lifeguard lady.
Squints.
Yep.
But it was all about friendship. It was about a group of kids just having a friendship over baseball. You don't have that anymore. It's always like, oh, well, they have to be gay now. If they redid that, they'd all be gay and lesbians.
And what about the Babysitters Club? Could you imagine that? Speaking of,
I can't, because they wouldn't even be allowed to be friends. They're all lesbian scissoring now while they babysit your kids, and then they're teaching them about the LGBTQ flag.
I think that you're being a bit mild there. I think what would actually happen is that yes, they would all be lesbians, but they would all be lesbians after being horrendously assaulted by the fathers of several of the children.
Oh God.
It would be the Babysitters Club against the Boy Babysitter Club.
And they question, why aren't anybody going to watch our movies?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I would absolutely love to see just a good old-fashioned Western. And by a good old-fashioned Western, I mean like straight up a John Wayne style Western. Not one of the, well, everyone's kind of fucked and dark Westerns. No, I want this is the hero.
Western?
You can tell because he has a white hat. This is the villain. You can tell because he has a black hat. And the hero in the white hat has a sheriff's star on his vest.
I just want stupid movies where things go boom.
Yes.
and there not be any deeper meaning to it.
See, I'm fine with deeper meaning because a lot of those Westerns, a lot of the John Wayne Westerns especially, did have a message, if you wanted to phrase it that way, because it was, unless someone stands up and puts their foot down, shit's gonna get bad. So there was always the hero that would save the town. That was beautiful, and it was, I think, no mistake that was during a very hopeful time in American history that we had stories like that. We need some hope again. We need stories where it is the hero comes and saves the day, and the hero is actually a hero. The hero isn't some just completely alien monster. Which is, again, I've talked about it so many fucking times, but it's because it pisses me off so much that they keep on making Superman movies. And every time that they make a Superman movie, after the Reeves movies, it seems, Superman gets progressively less human. When the entire point of Superman isn't this alien consciousness. Superman is Clark Kent. Clark Kent is this good, honest farm boy who was raised by amazing parents and wants to do the right thing. And he has the power to. That's what Superman is at the heart of it. That's how you tell a Superman story. And you don't challenge Superman by, oh, will he be able to punch harder than this villain? Yes, he's Superman. Of course he'll be able to punch harder than the villain. What the fuck is that sort of question about? The way that you fuck with Superman, the way that you make a Superman story interesting, is you challenge him on a mental and moral level. Not on a physical level.
Make him do the Mensa test.
Well, I've talked about this episode, I don't know how many times, and I'm going to keep on bringing it up because it is one of the best depictions of Superman.
What did you say? Take him to the
Mensa test.
Make him do a Mensa test.
Oh.
But
making fun of my Sanguine's sake.
One of the best displays of Superman ever was Adam, I think you were the one who remembered the name. Was it the late Mr. Kent or something like that? It was the episode where Superman, Clark Kent, decided that he wanted to give a win to Clark Kent rather than it being Superman saving the day. Because he found out that someone had been framed. And they were on death row. So he goes about the entire story as just investigative journalist Clark Kent. And he gets all the evidence, and it is fantastic throughout the entire thing because he's trying not to use his powers and get it just by being a really good investigative journalist.
So the one time that he really could be using his powers to help some guy, he's like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to do it like a human.
Well, it was because someone...
I know the reason it's profound. It's just funny.
There was an instigating circumstance to this where he was kind of in conflict between if he was Superman or if he was Clark Kent. And that was the whole origin of this. So he's going and he collects all the evidence. He's going to present the evidence. And as he's going to present the evidence, someone tries to assassinate him. He goes off the road into the water, and he knows that the assassin's watching to see if he surfaces to finish the job. So he gets out of the vehicle, swims away underneath the surface of the water, and then he's torn. Because if he comes forward now, that assassin will know that he's Superman. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't come forward, then this innocent man's going to die. Mm-hmm. So what does he do in order to solve this situation?
That wasn't me in that car. It was my evil brother.
He's torn. He doesn't know what to do because both ways seem wrong. So he calls someone on the phone in order to get advice.
His dad.
Who does he call? He calls his parents.
Yeah.
Ma and Pa Kent, and he tells them everything that's going on. and he tells them why he's torn. And Ma and Pa Kent go, Clark, you're always our son. You're always Clark Kent. Doesn't matter what you're wearing, doesn't matter what you're doing, you're Clark Kent. Superman's just the name that you use when you're being you without having to hide anything that you can do. You're always Clark Kent. You know what the right thing to do is. A man's going to die if you don't do anything. So he goes forward. He gives the evidence, and he frees the man, potentially exposing himself. That is a fantastic Superman story. Because it isn't, can he beat the villain in a fist fight? Yes, he's fucking Superman. Of course he can beat the villain in a fist fight. It is specifically challenging him in his morality and in his considerations, how he can go about doing the right thing. That's a great Superman story. That's how you tell a Superman story. You make him vulnerable on an emotional level. Because he can't do it physically. He has too many powers. And because of that, that's where you can actually connect with Superman.
Well, otherwise, Superman would have been a God mode character, and he would have eventually gotten boring.
Yeah. If you don't write him to be challenged on a moral and intellectual level, he gets boring really fucking fast. Because it always comes down to, can he fist fight creature X? Yes, he can. Can he fist fight creature Y? Yes, he can. Can he fist fight creature triple Z alpha? Yes, he can. It is always going to be Superman wins the fist fight. So you make him interesting. And this is a beautiful thing about why Superman's villain was Lex Luthor. That's his quintessential villain. It isn't some unbelievably godlike being from another part of the universe. His quintessential nemesis is always Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor is able to challenge him mentally and morally, but is not able to challenge him at all physically. There is nothing Lex Luthor can do in a bare-knuckle brawl to make Superman worry. But he can do everything to break Superman mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And what also made him fantastic is Lex Luthor, when he's done well, Lex Luthor isn't evil. He's kind of fucked. He's Machiavellian, but he's not evil. Which makes it so that Superman, even when he's beating Lex Luthor, even when Lex Luthor has done something fucked up and Machiavellian, part of Superman's going, I understand what the fuck he's trying to do. And that makes it better and worse at the same time.
Yeah.
Who's eating?
You heard
Oh,
the crunch?
Yep, sure did.
Was it a Doritos Locos Taco, Sanguine?
No.
Yo, what'd you make for dinner, dude?
Tonight I did a quick and dirty, let's see, it's chicken cordon bleu with green bean almondine, I think it's called, if I remember correctly. I always have trouble with that.
Is that green beans with
Particular day.
almonds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Green beans, almonds, butter, garlic, delicious.
On the plus side, I think I found a traditional Friday meal to have, despite you now.
What is
Is
that?
it cheese and crackers?
No,
Are you
when
going feral raccoon?
no, when Sanguine and I are hanging on Thursdays with Johnny, I eat pizza just because Sanguine is not a fan. So I think Fridays will be Doritos Locos Tacos now.
God damn it.
That sounds good.
Do they still make those?
See, Sanguine?
I'm going to continue on just like I did yesterday. So,
Ignoring you and your terrible tastes.
with that, I did some basmati rice that I cooked up with some sauteed shallot and then mixed with confit garlic butter. So it has a really nice flavor. Also, a little bit of lemon zest went into that with some parsley.
Nice.
And that crunch was the beautiful panko breading on the cordon bleu.
Nom nom nom.
I'm surprised it picked up that crunch so nicely, but it was fairly fucking crunchy.
Yeah, panko crumbs are convenient. I still kind of favor the breadcrumbs because I grew up with the breadcrumbs. My mom used to have a bag all the time of drying, bread ends to dry, and then
Yeah.
But
I
I
want to grind the bread.
I didn't always hate it because sometimes I was allowed to do it with a mallet. Like sometimes my mom would give me the bag with the dried bread in it and just be like, "Have at her, kid," with the meat mallet, and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. Do you know
We
why
put,
panko?
we put our dry bread through the nut grinder.
Well, see, that's faster and probably more efficient, but the one with the mallet is way more fun.
Oh yeah.
Do you know why panko breadcrumbs are the way that they are?
I just figured it was a specific kind of white bread that they were using because it's not really rice bread to me.
It's not. It is wheat bread,
Yeah.
but it is how it is made. So normal bread, the normal breadcrumbs by extension, you make your dough, you bake your bread, then you pull your bread out. If you let that get really dried out, then you crush it into crumb, right?
Yeah.
Panko breadcrumb, you make your bread, or you make your dough rather, then you get 2 metal sheets and a large energy supply. You squish your dough in between the 2 metal sheets. Then you hook them up to whatever you're using as your energy supply. The electricity arcs through the wet dough between the 2 plates, but as it does so, it heats up, cooking the path that the energy takes, causing the water to rapidly boil and it to kind of puff out a little bit as it does so. As it cooks out all the water from the bread dough, it gets extremely dry. And also, bread is insulating when it's fully cooked, but it's conductive when it's dough. So it turns off its own baking by the electricity no longer being able to get between the 2 plates. At that point, you disconnect the battery or whatever system you're using. You knock on the metal plates as you separate them, and then you just crush that because you have this extremely light, airy bread that looks like a shit ton of straws.
Seems like a lot of effort.
Well, do you know when this started?
No, I've never had panko.
Well, they do a lot of pork cutlets. Like you can use they do use other meats. Like you can get a chicken version of it, but their pork cutlets are something they're really famous for.
Mhm.
I will totally have one if I go. If I ever go to Japan, man, I'm totally going straight to the especially the cutlet sandwiches. They look so good.
Tonkatsu is delicious.
But I grew up with schnitzel, so there's that part of me that kind of like, I get it. You should too, though, Sora. I mean, I know Romanians have their own version of a schnitzel, but everyone has their own version.
Schnitzel. Yeah.
If it doesn't cover the plate, they didn't do it right.
Oh,
It's more like a
wait.
Wiener Schnitzel. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Which are the better one? If it's not veal, go home.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
And it should be thick and it should be fatty. Yeah.
No. It has to
That's
be.
one of the ones that changes.
Well, I mean, you're supposed
yeah.
to flatten the shit out of it too, but I mean, thick
Yeah,
because
there's no thickness here. What you want is you want the delicious piece of meat. You want to beat the shit out of it to make it flat, right?
Yep, that meat. Yeah, that
You
meat
eat
mallet.
that meat, and then you dip it between flour and egg, flour and egg, flour and egg. There's no need to put any breadcrumbs on it. However, if you want to be extra tasty, you will crush up cornflakes. And you bread it. The final step is cornflakes, especially if you are using pork. Cornflakes are delicious because when you feed piggies, you feed them corn, and they love corn, so you can coat their carcass in corn, and then you obviously fry it a little bit, and that's delicious. But you do not deep fry it; you pan fry it with a little bit of oil. You do not submerge the schnitzel.
Well, you're not even. You're not even supposed to, like, if it's halfway, it might even be too much half the time. Yeah.
Damn. You said that word, and I completely forgot that worked around more of the pork sausage type variety. But for some reason, this other image popped in my head, and it was of this like blue cabbage, and
Never heard of blue. I've heard of
blue
purple.
cabbage.
Heard of purple, but I mean, a purple could end up being a little blue. I'm sure.
I don't know. It's from.
I swear, if you're talking about Kool-Aid pickled cabbage.
Well, no. It was because I was talking to this German lady, and we were talking about sauerkraut, and then she's like, "No, have you tried this?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what the fuck that is." And she showed me a picture of what it was, and it was like, I swear it was like a bluish type of cabbage.
Are you sure it wasn't like purple cabbage? Because like when you
It might have been
when you
purple
boil
cabbage.
it, it does leak the color.
Like
the color will.
You can use purple cabbage for cheap dyes. It's not good dye, but you can.
But
you
it
can
was
also use it as an indicator.
Hey, well, I ain't eating it, so that's all I know.
But
indicators are things that you put in either acidic or basic conditions, and they change color.
I will give Adam a little credit. Some of the recipes that I was seeing for this blue cabbage, it looks like a recipe. So like, because of the kind of color that it has, there are some vinegars where if you leave it in for long enough and it runs, they do it tints the color. So
well,
like
I said, she's from Germany, and she said this is something that they like. Cause I just brought up sauerkraut just to haha German, ha. Cause you know me, I'm an asshole. But she was like, oh yeah, no, actually this is an actual dish that's a really good one. You should try it. And I'm like, oh, all right. I'm not, but yeah.
I mean, they do have purple sauerkraut. Like you can do anything to a purple cabbage.
It's a little bit sweeter. So with that kind of cabbage, a lot in like Christmas, like dishes or fall dishes, like it will be seasoned with like cloves, allspice, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's definitely a lot in Christmas or winter, I should say.
I don't eat sauerkraut anyway, so.
Well, one of my favorite ones. It's not with sauerkraut. You do use like you're cooking the cabbage, but it has it's actually pretty standard. Like a lot of people do it, but you usually cook bacon and onions first, and then you add your cabbage. And my mom adds it's usually apple vinegar to it, and it makes a really really good dish. It's very easy to make. But she adds carrots to it too, because carrots are sweet too. It is sweet though. Yeah, if you're not a sweet fan, but I like it. I like cabbage actually.
I love cabbage too. It's delicious.
I had to confess to my mom though. I prefer kimchi to sauerkraut. I don't like hot kimchi. I'm not a crazy person. I don't like the spicy stuff, but the texture's better to me.
Whoa! Oh, what goes into kimchi?
Kimchi
I like
is
kimchi.
it's still
Anchovies,
No.
chili sauce,
Wait.
garlic, lots of
sugar.
garlic.
garlic.
I just
It's
like
a lot of spices,
What do
a
you?
lot of garlic,
Is it like a dip or like something like a spread?
cabbage, and
um
salt. You take that cabbage mixture, you bury it underground for a few months. You pull it out. The cabbage has fermented.
it's
and
almost
then
like
you take out chunks of that cabbage and you eat it.
it's almost got a pickled texture to it. Like it sounds gross when you
No,
describe
no,
it,
it is that does absolutely sound gross.
but it has a pickled
It is
texture.
delicious.
You're
It's like-
not selling me on it with pickles.
I
Sorry.
always
well,
have a jar of it in the fridge, and I will just like randomly, like for snacks, will just eat it. Like,
And you guys think like my
hey, my
base
gut
food
health is
tasting-
Yeah, dude,
pristine.
exactly.
My gut
Dude, hold
health
on.
is 100% because of that.
Hold on. You bury it for a
No.
month?
For several months. Yeah.
when they make it, yeah.
I'm not
And then-
burying it.
and
I'm
then
eating it.
you-
I'm purchasing it nicely from the store.
Oh well, yeah.
Yours has already been buried.
Yeah, and thank the people
It's already
putting
been
all the
sanguine
nice hard
buried.
work.
Sanguine buried certified.
It's actually interesting when you look into how they used to do it, because like their urns for making kimchi, they were huge. Like every family seemed to have one.
Oh, hold
Very,
on.
very-
You know, isn't this like garum or garum?
Kind of. Where it's a fermented food, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fermented fish food.
Garum, it's fish. In kimchi's case, it's cabbage.
Oh, right.
it
And
does
radish.
it
I'm
does
a bit
smell
uncomfortable
good.
eating
Ah,
rotted foods, so
You don't
It's
like blue
not
cheese?
rotted. It's fermented.
Wait, blue
that's
cheese
close
is not-
enough for me, man. It's in the same neighborhood.
and
All
Melissa
right.
does it. That's funny.
It's right next door.
Booze
Sounds like a
is
war
fermented too.
Yeah, I don't drink either, so
What kind of engine are you?
the kind that smokes his drugs.
Ah,
But I mean, what about beef jerky? That's not really cooked. Not really.
no, it's smoked. He just said.
Yeah, but it's not fermented either.
Fermented foods are good for you.
Are they?
Yeah.
They help. They're good for your gut.
They get like
Yeah,
bacterial.
yeah, well, I mean, for it to get to my gut, it has to get past my taste buds.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Do you not like yogurt either?
Oh,
I mean, yogurt. I think this is the exception to the rule.
Yogurt's fermented as well.
Exception to the rule.
To be fair, not every fermented food is for me either. Like my mom really liked pickled herring, and I was like, "There's some things that'll just never." Nah, that's a no.
Do you not like Worcestershire?
I know that there's fish sauce in that, yeah,
Yeah, it's fermented fish.
but I mix that with a lot of other things too. But I do notice fish sauce sometimes though. Like that one has so many other things to it. I can kind of pretend it isn't there, but a lot of Asian dishes will use a little dash of fish sauce, and I'm like, I don't think that was a dash.
I think they dropped the bottle.
Yeah, because people like it. They do. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Nah, I don't really like seafood, so I'm. I admire the people who do, though. I'm like, it looks nice. It's expensive, so it must be good.
You
Don't
hope.
waste
See,
your
Cannibal
money on
is saying that kimchi smells like a war crime. That right there is enough to make me not want to try it.
It
No, it
smells like
smells like-
farts.
Spice and funk.
It smells like
Spice
farts.
and funk and farts. No, thank you.
No. I did not say and farts. I said
No.
spice and funk.
I'm combining
said
your
fart.
statements with Sora's.
I mean, I'm not saying it like it's good eats, but would you ever eat spam?
Never
It's-
again. No.
Okay.
Really?
I will
I love
starve.
spam.
It's not bad. Come on.
I ate spam as a poor kid in a fucking trailer home. No, I will never again.
Never again.
I mean, Camel, if I ever get the funds to troll you, I will send you the bologna with the mac and cheese in it because that shit
Oh,
gave me.
I
wait,
really
is it
want to
real?
try that. I've never seen that here before.
Is that
I really
real?
wanna try it.
And
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
so? It's like what's that? The bologna with the olives in it, but instead it's mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Oh no!
It was gross. It still is.
I really want to try it.
No,
You know what I
everyone should.
tried? Speaking of spam, the pumpkin spice limited edition pumpkin spice spam.
Oh my god, are you
Oh,
serious?
no.
That
It
is
was
2
delicious.
abominations in one can.
you basic white
What are
bitch.
you doing,
I don't
SoraLuna?
care. It was there. I had to have it. It
No.
was delicious. I loved
No.
it.
See, this is
I have
why
no shame.
this is why the eclipse is happening soon. This is why we've been having the earthquakes. This is why we're getting
Listen,
tsunamis.
I'm just a consumer of the product. What devil thought of
No,
the product?
It's
Okay.
because God was looking down and was watching Sora look at the can, and she was saying, "You know what? I understand this is 2 abominations in one condensed package, but you know what? I need it." And
It's
you went and
delicious.
grabbed it. Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen.
you
Cannibalistic
tried to
nature is
defend
also
her feral
disparaging
raccoon.
spam.
No, it's a far difference between pumpkin spice spam and whatever the hell the other
I
ingredient was.
guarantee the pumpkin spice spam was part of the feral raccooning.
No, and delectable cheeses and crackers and maybe sliced hams or
You keep on trying to dress it up every time that you talk about it
well,
into
yes,
being charcuterie.
it's
She
because
was
it's-
not talking charcuterie. She
No,
was
this is-
talking feral raccooning ghetto tapas.
Okay, no, there's charcuterie, and then there's Dr. Frankenstein in his lab concocting some sort of meat.
Which is part of her feral raccooning.
All I gotta say about the whole thing, Sora, is the thing I learned about spam is based off of technically corned beef. I do suspect spam will do the same thing that the corned beef did. But when I was working at my last location, we got a whole box of corned beef from France. It says it on the package. 2 of the cans popped. And because 2 of the cans popped, half of the box got eaten. I mean, through the other cans.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could see where it was eating through it. And I was just like, what the fuck is in the corned beef and the spam that it can eat through metal once it's popped?
Oh, that
Well,
isn't
I mean,
half
if
as
it's popped, then there's bacteria got in. So I don't know, botulism probably.
I didn't know botulism could eat the can, though. I was like, but you know what I learned from that? That's how you bomb people, Sora. You just poke a little hole in their can and then send it to them for Christmas.
See, that isn't half as concerning
Millions of
as
does not endorse any criminal activity or terroristic ideations.
as the
It's not a
jar
children's programming.
as the jar of marshmallow fluff that I saw when I was helping a friend clean out his grandma's home.
Okay.
Because that had eaten through a glass jar and was fused to a shelf.
Oh my god.
To the point where one of my friends, there were 3 of us that were helping clean out this place. One of them
Which one
grabbed
tried
onto it. Oh, none of us tried to eat it. One of us tried to grab it off first. Couldn't get it.
Okay, wait, you
bugged.
guys will talk about kimchi, but you wouldn't try marshmallow fluff?
That was fused, like burst through glass and fused to a cabinet? No.
No.
What?
Maybe it fermented.
Oh,
No.
so it was like aged.
No, it was a biohazard. So,
Yeah,
and
so
also,
kimchi by the sound of it.
no, kimchi is delicious. But the first person to try to lift it up could not get it to budge. Then my best friend tried to grab it. He could not get it to budge. They both looked over at me and went, Sanguine, grab this jar. I walked over, grabbed onto the jar, went to lift it. It didn't budge, grabbed onto it with both hands, ripped it up, ripped off a section of wooden shelf.
No,
I figured there
no.
was. Yeah.
It was super glued on.
See, I had a similar situation, but it was a can of pineapple juice. It had exploded, and it was in the very back of the cabinet, so nobody noticed for a good long while until I went to go clean it out.
It's always a surprise when you find out how heinous apple juice or any kind of juice smells when it's gone bad. I don't want to know what pineapple juice is like, but if it's anything like apple juice, it was horrible.
Actually, no, there wasn't a smell, but it had congealed, and the can was not quite as fused, and I didn't think to go the brute force route. I dissolved it and spared the cabinet.
I ripped off that section of shelf, walked outside with it, threw it in the dumpster.
Yeah, it's probably a good call.
Though I was a bit of an asshole, I spiked it in the dumpster.
Did you do the dirty bird afterwards or anything like that?
Just so
I mean,
it knows
surely
you
after that feat of strength, you gotta do some kind of like end zone dance to troll the friends, right?
Oh, it was just something that I have that type of shit happen so frequently. One of my coworkers, when I was an EMT, started compiling a list of casual feats of strength from Sanguine. They included pushing an ambulance out of the snow by myself,
Nice.
bicep curling a 442-pound patient when the berry stretcher broke and its legs were stuck so that they weren't activated. I had to release with one arm, pop the handle a few times until the legs activated, and then set down the stretcher. So from the time that I pulled them out, let go with my left hand, and then got the legs to engage, I was bicep curling with just my right arm the entire patient. Solo moving a 600-pound patient, and the list just kept on getting added to as I was working. So it just became yep, this is something I did. Moving on.
So
I do. I do quite like that there was a list.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Oh yeah, it also included bending up a storm grate in order to get a fuel card. Because when one of the other coworkers and I had finished out a long shift, at the end of every shift you have to go fuel up your ambulance. He got out to fuel up the ambulance, walked over, and standing outside for maybe like 2-3 minutes, then comes over to the door, and he's just kind of shaking his head and laughing and going, okay, we're a bit fucked, but you have to see this. So I get out of the ambulance and I walk around the back end. He's standing over the storm grate that is friction locked into the drive for the fuel depot. He points down. About 6 to 8 inches underneath the storm grate is our fuel card, staring up at us.
Oh no.
because it had slipped out of his hand, hit the corner, rolled towards that fucking thing, or rather bounced towards after hitting the corner, and perfectly whoop between the grates.
No.
He goes to start saying, I already tried to grab as I stoop down, grab onto the grate with my right hand, and start to stand up. As I get about halfway standing, I realized, oh, shit, my right heel is currently on the storm grate. I move my right foot, the entire grate, pang, out of the ground. Bent down, grabbed the card, handed it to him, stomped the storm grate back down. He's just looking at me, and then says, what are you? As I stomp the grate back into the ground in order to get it flush. So yeah, it was just a list full of all that type of shit.
It's very good.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing, though, that happened when I was an EMT was the person that guessed where I was born based off of how I picked something up.
That's new. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an old dude. He had this large horse-drawn sled just sitting in his foyer that we were bringing his wife back to the house. So we had to move the sled out of the way in order to bring his wife in. Then as the rest of the crew took the stretcher out to get it cleaned up, I realized, oh shit, we forgot to move the sled back. Or sleigh, because it wasn't a sled, it was a sleigh with its size. So I go back over and grab the metal running strut in the front of the sleigh.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up, walk it back into position, set it down. The old dude's just kind of watching me. After going, you might need a... When I picked it up, he just stopped that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Set down the front, walk to the back, grab the metal running strut there, pick it up, set it down in the proper place, ask if that was set right. Then he goes, that is. By the way that you picked that up, you're from Steel Country. You're from Bethlehem, aren't you? Yes.
Was
You
he from
guessed-
there himself?
He didn't say. He didn't say how he knew. It was, I picked up the sleigh in a way that immediately gave me away from being from Steel Country and from being from specifically Bethlehem.
Well, that's
this-
now I want to know.
To this day, it baffles me. I have no clue how this old man knew where I was born from how I picked up a sleigh.
Sir, tell us your secrets.
Maybe
Yeah, that's weird.
does that neck of the woods do a lot of like snow activities, like sledding, that kind of thing?
May you be a
Not
Kringle?
all that much. The closest thing that I could guess is, well, we do have one of the largest Celtic games within the US. But that still seemed weird.
Oh.
That is, sometimes you run across those people that catch on euphemisms that you might dole out that you might not even recognize, but they pick it up and, oh yeah, you're from this place. But sled picking up, that's a new
Yeah.
one. Sled picking
Because,
up.
That's
again,
pretty
it
fun,
was...
though. That's creepy as all heck, but that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I mean, honestly, that just means that this old dude probably was that born and raised. He was out there. He knows that specific area enough to pick up something as
Yeah, I'm guessing.
inconspicuous as that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's the one that the Scooby Doo gang would go to and ask questions, and he'd be like, you know what? I did recognize that this one character was acting kind of out of place. Now I've lived here quite some time, and I've noticed that he doesn't sip his coffee with milk or some shit, like that.
If you
Now,
Adam, if you do that in Korea, they're gonna think you're a baby.
what?
If you drink coffee with milk in it, they think you're being a baby. They actually call it something like that. They've got a nickname for it.
What about sugar?
Hold on, Jen. I really would like to know, how did we go from this quaint town with this old timey
It's
looking at sled building, and all of a sudden the
it's
Korean's
from
like, you a baby, you drinking coffee with milk, and it's like, oh shit.
it's if you look into their coffee shops, they're actually kind of funny because they do drink coffee, but it's more of to look like they're posh.
Oh.
Like they think a lot of our coffee is too sweet. So like if you were to go to a Korean like coffee shop here, a lot of the times they will actually make a cocoa with cocoa extract, like directly make you a mocha with
That's
baking
nice.
cocoa. It is nice. It's not nearly as sweet. So like they're kind of like that with the coffee too. So if you're adding milk to it, they see that as you adding sugar to it too.
That's funny. Okay.
I love the randomosity that we just all experienced.
Well, it's the difference between us and other cultures. Like Japan does that a lot too. Like you'll go to get a Kit Kat and realize that they have Kit Kats for kids and they have Kit Kats for adults.
Oh well, no. I mean, to be honest, I was gonna run with a tea analogy, but for some reason coffee came out, so I was like, coffee and milk. Doesn't make sense, but
No, people do flat whites even.
well, yeah. I mean, yeah, people. I mean,
You can also put milk in certain teas too. I
yes,
wouldn't
you
recommend
could
it
do
for
that.
fruit teas because I tried that once and it curdled and it was nasty.
Eee.
Yeah, milk curdles from acid.
Yeah.
So
Well, there
if
you
your
go.
tea is acidic,
Yep.
don't put milk in it.
No,
Nope.
it's a journey. It's a journey drink. You pour it in, you get a nice taste, and then eventually,
No,
uh,
Journey's a band.
well, you can listen to Journey while you're taking the journey.
In a Dodge Journey.
Oh shit! While
So
you're
many
driving.
levels, layers of journeys.
Yeah, I think I already told my tea joke too, so I don't think I can tell it again, even though I think it's hilarious.
What's
I
the-
might tea joke. Last year, before Canada was on fire for the entirety of the summer, I was in the process of watching ghost tours in the UK, and I particularly like this one dude from Wales because he's not a complete douche, which I find a lot of people from Wales are kind of douchey. But he was on a ghost tour in this hotel that was kind of a cross between the English border and their border, and it's well known for being a spot for where they would plan out battles with the English. And so in the middle of this ghost tour, my brain just decides to remind me the recipe for a Starbucks London Fog. And then I just madly started typing it out in the chat. I'm just like, I'm going to tell you guys about how Starbucks makes a tea. And between the Brits in the chat being like, okay, why did you do that? And me being like, I want to start a fight between the ghosts. I want to see if I can take the tea in the past, with the ghosts. And then Canada caught on fire. So I probably went to all my English friends, some of my Scottish friends. It's like, so how do you tell the Welsh to take an apology for a joke? And that was the best part of the joke, Sanguine, because I could feel the blank face all the way in Canada, I'm sorry that Canada was on fire, though, Sora. I do feel bad for New York. I was like, oh, that seems like terrorism.
Oh, yeah, it fucked with a huge chunk of the U.S.'s air.
Yeah, I was like, that screams
That
of
was bad.
terrorism. Yeah,
That
and
was very bad.
I do think it was arson for a lot of it. I'm not saying the forestry isn't fucked up here, because we all know it is, but I think it was people with lighters and other methods of starting fires.
Like gender reveal parties.
Yeah.
It was a lot of it on this side of the province of country. Oh my god.
Mhm.
It was we had a few arson.
I knew your side
Yes.
was.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's like your hippies are
I
the worst hippies.
I feel like the appropriate punishment for those people is to be set on fire.
I actually want them hung. I agree with you. I think
No, hanging is too quick. You set them on fire.
well, they did sentence every other species in the area to death. Like humans can get away most of the time, but like as much as they want us to save the environment, they seem to be keen on destroying it. Yeah, that pissed me off a lot last year. I wanted a lot of people to be.
Sora's out here advocating for African necklacing.
I agree with her though. Like I think these people are willing to do anything to get power, and I'm like, you probably should be put to death before you actually hurt people.
Just to make sure everyone got that reference, do you guys know what African necklacing is?
Tires, setting them on fire with
Yep.
people in the middle. Yeah.
Yep. You put a tire around
What?
someone's neck, you fill the tire with fuel, and then you touch off the fuel.
Holy
Nice.
shit!
Yeah. It's called necklacing in Africa. Because the tire looks like a necklace when it's put around someone like that.
Oh,
It's a horrendous way of dying.
yeah. So if anybody says, "Would you like a necklace?" say no. Just
But
in
also,
case.
if you piss off Sora, just know she has many ways of punishing you now.
I just have to get some tires. Go to the local junk heap.
Some tires, some gasoline or isopropyl
Problem
alcohol.
with that, honestly, is that you know how expensive gas is.
I know.
Which is why I said you could go for isopropyl alcohol.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
exactly. I'd have to go for like lighter fluid and other combustibles.
I don't
Not
know if we should
fuel.
be advocating for the flaming Sora.
Is
I
this
would-
hypothetical and fantasy? We are writing a book, right? Right?
Sora,
FBI
why
agent
did
is like
Flaming
to us.
Sora sound like one of your films?
Oh no!
I don't know.
I'm kind of with Sora on this one, though. Like, I know it sounds brutal and like we're just inventing horrible ways to murder people, which we are.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of the Blood Eagle?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Mhm.
And every time I bring up it with somebody whose history might link to Vikings, like people from Norway or people from Denmark or Sweden or Finland, and they're like, we were ashamed of that. I'm like, fuck you were.
Yep.
Why are you ashamed? Don't be ashamed. Embrace.
I mean,
You were creative.
Listen.
Really fucking creative.
I mean, honestly, the people you did it to, obviously, they have every reason to hold a grudge against you, but that was thousands of years ago. It's okay. We can move on. And I don't think anybody's ancestors were clean of, like, doing weird shit to other human bodies.
Mm. Whale.
No, humans and how we desecrate people has always been something of a fascination for me.
Oh yeah, we get creative. The brazen bull.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Even something as funny as the bamboo torture, and it's not funny at all. Not if you're the one in the middle of it.
Yeah, that one's fucked.
You know, like even ours, like sticking someone in a barrel, and then they have to eat milk and honey and sit in that barrel until they die, and it's basically exposure and shitting yourself in a barrel.
Oh, the Romans had a version that's even more fucked up. Because it was you fasten a person between two boats
Mhm.
after slathering them with honey. Then you feed them nothing but milk and honey.
Mhm.
There's enough of a gap that insects can get in, their hands can't get out. Their legs can't get out. They're trapped in there. Insects get in, insects start eating them, find the way to the source as they're just force-fed honey, milk, honey, milk.
Yep. Yeah, they gave people diarrhea to death.
Yep. But it was diarrhea to death while being consumed by insects.
Yep.
Human ingenuity.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I did just realize the time. Shall we do our parting words and sign off, or do you guys want to
Sure.
continue chatting?
That's on you.
I'm gonna go ahead and dip on out.
So let's do parting words then. You want to go first, Camel?
Sure. There are two types of people in this world: those that can extrapolate from incomplete data, and
Apparently Asians. Who wants to go next?
I can go. Wish everyone a wonderful good night and a happy Saturday morning. Come back again for Saturday Minions and whatever nonsense we get up to tomorrow night. Or don't. Just have a good time.
A wonderful and good night. You're too kind. Let's go, Jen.
Well, I'm always going to be on my own show on the Minions on the Wednesday with the One Ton Hammer and Terry. But also, I just want to send my deepest regrets to the rest of the Canadians who watch this show, because April 1st sucked. I still have anger issues about that. I'm sorry that maybe soon in the future, Functional might have to pay taxes on snow. I still think that's hilarious, though. And I hope everyone has a good evening, too.
Taxes on snow? Also,
Yeah.
what happened on April 1st?
Oh, they raised their taxes 8%.
That's a horrendous prank.
I know.
It's always on April 1st, too. That's the funny thing. Like, all of these, like, really serious stuff. It's like, oh, that's a good one, Canada. No.
Dude, that's crazy. That's the same. California raised the minimum wage for fast food workers.
Yep.
Yeah, and now,
$20.
and now they're
Yeah.
shutting down locations left, right,
Yep.
and center because they
Yep.
can't do it.
Wow.
Yeah, we are our own demise a lot of the time for no reason.
Yep.
The snow thing has to do with their weirdo mayor, who thinks that because the snow and the rain lands on the roof, it's not going into the pipes the way that it's supposed to, and therefore you're taxed for it. You're welcome, Functional. Work that one out all on your own. I'm sorry.
And this isn't the one that's addicted to everything?
No, she's just a Chinese lady from I don't even know if she's from Hong Kong. She's not from here though. I'm like, why did you elect somebody who's clearly a foreigner?
Wait, from the snow drip?
Yeah, apparently they're getting taxed for roof size, I'm guessing.
Yeah, how does this? You Canuckistanis. You
And our retarded
Yeah.
mayors. I know. I don't know why we vote in these people. And, you know, I always look at the people around me like, did you really want that?
Just
well,
go back to the ones that are high on everything.
Oh, by the way, I'm brainwashed, though.
uh-oh.
Because I think things like, well, you know that carbon tax money. I'd like to know exactly how much they've taken. They won't tell us that. They won't tell us that, Sora. I don't know why.
Fantastic.
I bet you
Down
any.
to buying the new fighter jet. Not even fighter jet, the private airplane.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't doubt that they're pocketing it somewhere. Maybe
Oh,
Ukraine. I don't know. I don't know if that's the deal. If we pocket our money there, we could pretend like we're into something.
And Adam, do you want to do your parting words?
Well, you know, I always like hanging out with you on Fridays, Sanguine.
Fun.
Yeah, dude, shooting the shit with you is something to look forward to. So, thanks for letting me hang out with you.
Mhm.
But yeah, outside of that, I had a lot of fun. Y'all were wonderful conversations, including you, Chad. God bless you all. But yes,
Don't say
love
that.
y'all and
Chat
God
will
bless.
start thinking that they count as people now.
Well, you gotta appreciate the chat because, sometimes they give you some good topics to talk about. So,
Well,
but
I would thank them because between Scribe streaming and Monkey streaming, somehow they decided to stick with us, and I appreciate all of them for that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
I love y'all and God bless.
And I'm going to try out a new thing rather than my standard. It's a comforting notion that power corrupts because it spares us from having to admit we were blind to the darkness, or worse, ignored it. Power doesn't corrupt, it merely removes external governors for good or ill. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, you two. There we go.